This week on the Movies and Stuff show, we're going to review the new Rob Zombie movie, 31, and then we're going to count down the top 10 worst remakes of films. Stay tuned. And welcome once again to the Movies and Stuff show. We are coming to you live from the suburbs of New Jersey and Missouri. My name is Dan, and joining me is, I have nothing witty to say this week, so I'm just going to say Abe.
Hey!
This is what happens when you don't prepare. I prepared nothing. I'm admitting it.
There you go. You're admitting weakness to the wolves now, you know.
Nothing witty to say this week. And
well, I mean, some people would argue that you never really had anything witty to begin with, but yeah, it's just...
It's some people, they their names start with A and end with E. I get that.
Yes.
I'll get you, Anne. I'll get you.
Fucking Anne. You and your Green Gables.
Why does she always trash our show? Just so terrible.
I don't get it.
Terrible. It's awful. Hey, so you had the idea of watching the new Rob Zombie film. It was, on demand. So we figured, hey, let's watch this new Rob Zombie film, because you were a fan of Lords of Salem.
I was.
Film, right? You like that.
And you were a bigger fan of Devil's Rejects.
I do. I like Devil's Rejects a lot. Don't like House of a Thousand Corpses, but I really like Devil's Rejects, and maybe we'll talk about that in October. Maybe we'll talk about Devil's Rejects as well. But hey, so 31 came out. We figured instead of kind of talking about a bunch of other topics, because Synergy debate show this week.
Ah, yes.
It's Thursday. We figured let's just talk about 31. So we both watched it this weekend, and I just got to say, there's no point for this movie to be made. I don't want to be mean. I'm being honest here. There was 0 point to this movie being made.
I can't argue with that. I'm going to be meaner than you are. This movie fucking sucked. This was terrible. This was everything I had said about Rob Zombie. You need a writer, was evident here. This was poorly thought out from conception, and the execution wasn't even that good. Rob Zombie can shoot a scene. There's no doubt about it. But this was dumb.
A scene. Not a sequence of scenes. He can shoot a scene. I thought the opening scene, I thought the opening scene, dialogue-wise, not great. Acting-wise, I thought it was well done. The guy that played Doomhead, Richard Brake, yeah. I thought he did well with what was given to him. That opening scene was I liked it. I liked how it was filmed. I liked how it looked. But as a movie, here's my main issue with the movie is it was not suspenseful enough to be a horror film, and it wasn't gory enough to be torture porn.
Yeah, what was that? I felt like this had to have been edited. It
must have been, man.
This was not shocking at all.
No.
Man.
I was so surprised at how tame. Let's set the plot up for you. Okay?
Have you seen Running Man?
Yes.
Yeah.
It is essentially Running Man in a murder house.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently, every October 31st, 31.
Oh, so clever.
Rich people decide, hey, let's round some people up, put them in this murder house with a bunch of killers, and see how long these people can survive for, and then make bets based off of how long they last. So I think it's 1 through 5, right?
Yeah, 1 through 5. And you think that, but they actually don't really tell us what they're betting on. They're just throwing money on the table. I bet $1 million or $5 million. I'm going to double that. without even saying who the money's going on to,
what the actual bet is.
Right.
What are the odds? Like, honestly, like, I just don't get it. Like, because I see they're betting against each other. But say if someone has 1,000,000 to 1 odds,
which Roscoe does at one
and
point.
the other one has 300 to 1 odds, or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Right. Like, who's paying the bet? There's no like house. It's it's Malcolm McDowell who's father murder. Yes. I shit you not. That is his name. He's Father Murder.
I remember when I thought Firefly was kind of a stupid name.
Malcolm McDowell, whose father, he does a good job, though. I think.
Oh,
Malcolm
yeah.
McDowell, he was. I mean, you really have to give him absolutely nothing to work with for him to be terrible. Rob Zombie's done it before, but that was a slight dig at Halloween.
There'll be more coming about that soon.
There will be. I'm sure there will. But you have this father murder guy. If he was just the house and you were betting against the house or something, that would make more sense. But it's just him. Like, at one point, there's 1,000,000 to 1 odds on Jeff Daniel Phillips, Roscoe Pepper,
yeah.
right?
Yes. I mean, the payout, if he actually would have won, would have been like $10 trillion or something ridiculous like that.
Like, is it? I don't get it, man.
Yeah, I mean, spoiler right now coming. Sherry Moon Zombie was 400 to 1 with what? $1 million on her or something like that? What's that? $400 million?
Right. Spoiler off, I guess. There's nothing really to spoil about this film because there's nothing really interesting to spoil. I always feel that when you have to say spoilers, it's because you're trying to preserve something at least that's mildly interesting. And there is nothing mildly interesting in this film at all.
Yeah, I can't argue with that. I really am so disappointed because I thought after Halloween 2, when he did Lords of Salem, he was turning a corner. Now, I can't tell you if Lords of Salem is actually good or not. I don't know. But it was engaging, and it was way different than anything he had done. But this seems like a tremendous step backwards. A tremendous step backwards. I feel like this was his Punch Drunk Love. And now he's going to, he's Adam Sandler here. And now he's going to double down on making even worse movies.
Oh, man.
I just don't get it.
Kim is saying maybe it's Bitcoin. Maybe that's what they're betting with. I don't,
It's coins of some sort, right?
Maybe it's crack cocaine because you need a lot of crack cocaine to like understand like what the hell is going on here. It was just terrible, and it's about time that Rob Zombie
gets a writer.
Gets a writer.
Yeah.
I agree. Amanda, was it worse than the other crap movies we watched this summer? I mean, I can't put this underneath Amateur Night, but my expectations of Amateur Night were so far below my expectations for this film that I would say it's almost on par, my disappointment in regards to, I mean, Amateur Night was just an awful movie, start to finish. This was just a mediocre movie, start to finish, but it had the potential to be much better. That's what infuriates me is the fact is that there were some good performances here. Hey, even Sherry Moon Zombie I thought was pretty good. You know?
Yeah.
Didn't think she was terrible. I thought Meg Foster. I liked Meg Foster's performance.
I did too. And let's be honest, Meg Foster kicked the most ass in this movie.
Oh my God.
She killed everybody.
She almost seemed like what's her name from Terminator? You know, like
she was Meg
Connor,
Foster was ripped.
Like,
yeah,
she almost seemed like to that capacity from Terminator 2. You know, the Sarah Connor from Terminator 2. Like that's kind of like what she was in this film, and she was very apprehensive of killing, and she became like the best killer of them all. You know?
It was awesome, but and Brake's performance was good. I would actually be interested to see him take a run at the Joker sometime.
I agree, and we actually came to that conclusion separately too, because you had mentioned, and I was like, oh my God, that was in my head. I was thinking the same thing. I would actually like to see him in the next Justice League movie.
Absolutely. Especially what we have now.
Damaged, deranged. I don't even know what the tattoo says anymore. I can't even remember.
Douchey.
Something silly. So, okay, with 31, what does this mean for Rob Zombie now? Like, what are people going to trust him to still make horror films? I mean, is it to the point where it's like, because he's still Rob Zombie, because that's his name, people are going to give him money to make films, even though
I don't know.
Underwhelmed like this?
Yeah, that's a good question. To me, this is rock bottom. I'm not saying there's no coming back from this, but you've got to figure something out. You've got to figure out how to make a better movie than this. I'm curious to see how horror fans react when it hits theaters, in October. Mm-hmm. I'll be really curious because, horror fans are the most forgiving fans.
And I wonder what cut is going to hit theaters, or I wonder, I wonder if there's going to be a director's cut or something, because it really just felt, it felt chopped up.
There's no
way that this was the movie that was intended to be.
Yeah, there's going to have to be an unrated cut at least when it comes out in Blu-ray.
I don't know, man. I guess the one redeeming factor again is there are some well shot scenes. Like, I think at times he has this vision to him where he can, I think because he was a comic book artist, or he fancied himself a comic book artist for a while. I think he can do certain frames, like key frames in a film, and that stand out and are very memorable. Because that opening scene with Richard Brake as Doomhead, and as he's out of focus and is coming into focus, that was terrifying. And it was the only time it was terrifying. Like any only terrifying moment of the film was in the first 2 minutes of it.
Yeah. That was the best. That was the highlight of the movie. And I felt like Lords of Salem, he was kind of trying to channel Kubrick. I felt like this time he was kind of trying to channel Tarantino in that opening speech.
Oh, yeah.
Did you get to that
big
too?
time.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I totally agree that it was a watered down version of Kubrick with this character of Richard Brake. Even when he's talking to who is the porn star that he was the one that he was sleeping with?
Ginger Lynn.
Ginger Lynn. Even when he's talking to her about this is business and stuff like that, it's just it seemed kind of like forced Tarantino-esque type dialogue.
Yeah. I mean, I'm at a loss here, really. I'm at a loss. You're right. The performances are good. He's great at cinematography. I think on a technical level, he's so solid, but just there's no thought. There's no thought in this movie. And don't ape anybody else, Rob. Just do your own stuff, but just bring in a little help.
Yeah, and even from, we mentioned the gore factor or lack thereof.
Yeah.
The horror scenes just were not well done. They weren't scary at all, and the villains, if you will, just didn't work for me. The multiple villains, they should have just stuck with Doomhead as the main villain throughout, and really built him up as the big bad. Because by the end of the film, it's like, oh yeah, this guy's bad, but we've seen him for 6 minutes, and 2 of those minutes was, having sex with Ginger Lynn.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. We should have seen him more to establish his badassery, but
yeah.
It seemed like, why did you even need him? I mean, they just, I didn't get the feeling he was a badass. I didn't get the feeling like, oh my God, these people are all dead now.
Right. I mean, they had guys in there with machine guns and wearing masks. It's like they really wanted them dead. I don't know I never understood the rules of 31. It never was clear of what the hell is actually happening. Other than the fact is, every October 31st, the rich people abduct these people and put them in a murder house with a midget dressed like Hitler.
Yeah. From the jump, this movie has no thought to it. These people are traveling in a van. These carnival people. Where the fuck is their tent? Where's their equipment? In this van? I don't think so.
Well, they had the ape mask.
Yeah.
That's Carnival right there.
No thought at all. It's almost borderline insulting that he even thought that people would swallow this shit.
All right. We done? We done with 31? I think so.
I was done
so
pretty early.
That's our review of 31. Please make sure to like, subscribe, etc., etc. Now we're going to talk about our top 10 worst movie remakes. You skipped my number 4.
Oh my god.
Spoilers.
Oh my god. It's gone. They didn't see that. Nobody was watching. We could put up a little annotation over top of it. Just hide it.
That's fine. That's fine. Everyone knows my number 4 now, but it's okay. It's still going to work for us. All right. Next week. By the way, this show this week is powered by Gin.
Oh, there you go.
Gin, everyone. Gin. Magnificent 7 comes out next week. Magnificent 7 2016 comes out next week.
Not to be confused with Seven Samurai.
And Magnificent 7 is a unique film because it's not just a remake, but it's a remake of a remake.
Didn't they get sued? No. That was Leone. Never mind.
No.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a remake of a remake, right? In essence, this is original Magnificent 7 was a remake of Samurai, and this is a remake of Magnificent 7. So it got us thinking. Let's talk about the top 10 worst movie remakes. I'm hoping that this isn't a bad remake that we see. I never want to go to the movies and pay money to see a bad film. You know that.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a chance that this could be a bad remake. So we wanted to talk about some bad remakes.
It's got your boy Chris in it. Chris Pratt.
Pratt.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't. You know that. I don't dislike Chris Pratt.
Yeah. He was.
I enjoyed Jurassic World.
I still haven't seen it.
I enjoyed it. I thought it was fun.
Yeah.
I don't think it needed to be made. It had no. It didn't need to be made. Yeah, but I liked it. It was fun.
Maybe Rob Zombie should have made it.
Maybe. You want to start my number 5?
All right.
My number 5 is Karate Kid. Now, okay, a full disclosure on my number 5 and my number 4 is I haven't seen them all the way through. But I've seen enough to judge them. I was on an airplane, and I saw part of the Karate Kid, right? And I have seen many films on a plane, and I tend to like films that I see in airplanes more so because it keeps me distracted from the fact is that I'm in this giant metal box thousands of feet above the air that could crash into a mountain or the sea at any time.
I gotcha.
So I tend to enjoy movies because it's a really great escapism on a plane. I watched about 25 minutes of this Karate Kid film.
You watched a sitcom's worth.
I watched 25 minutes worth.
Okay.
And I decided to go play chess against someone that was on the plane. A little video game controller chess. After that, yeah.
Wow.
It's just awful, man. And this is coming from someone who grew up in the 80s with Karate Kid, being named Daniel, and getting that Danielson shit all the time.
That's funny. I never would have thought that.
Yeah. But I do have a soft spot in my heart for Karate Kid 1 and 2. And even 3, compared to this remake, 3 is looking pretty good. Karate Kid 3 looking pretty good to Karate Kid 2010. And yes, Kim, Jaden Smith. That's all you need to say. Poor Jackie Chan, though. Completely, destroyed the fun from him as an actor in the 25 minutes that I saw. And also kind of just depleted the character that was so beloved by Pat Morita, the Mr. Miyagi role. it seemed like a bad. You know what it seemed like, and I this might come off kind of offensive. So
Dan's views are Dan's views alone, or do not
my
represent. Yes.
it seemed like the bad knockoff action figure. You know,
Oh
like
yeah.
Robert Cop. It seemed like Jackie Chan was the Robert Cop version of Mr. Miyagi of Karate Kid. It's like it's almost there, but it's not quite.
God damn.
Bad.
I never saw it. I have no desire to see it. So
No need to. No need to. You're number 5.
The Passion of the Christ. It's a little too big, so it's scrolling.
Scrolling. Okay,
Yeah,
Passion
there
of
you
the
go.
Christ. I didn't know Passion of the Christ was a remake.
Look, when you remake Life of Brian, I just think you should set the bar a little bit higher.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. The Passion of the Christ is a remake of Monty Python's Life of Brian. That is what you're starting off with.
Yes, yes. That is my premise here. It's remarkably similar, you know, the crucifixion scene and all that. I mean, granted, Brian didn't get the shit kicked out of him for 90 minutes, just a little bit, you know, just a few minutes. But as far as I understand the backstory of the Passion of the Christ, Brian and Jesus' lives were very similar. So I'm calling this a remake of Life of Brian, and it doesn't hold up.
Do you think Mel Gibson has ever seen Life of Brian?
I would hope so. I would hope so. He had, just a tiny bit of sense of humor exists in that very angry man.
I know. Now, Monty Python guys are British, and the British haven't had the best of sensitivities towards Jewish culture in the scheme of things.
That's true.
You know, generalization here, but there has been evidence of British people not really being very kosher, if you will, with Jewish people. So you would think that, you know, maybe Mel watched Life of Brian and said, yeah, that's right. That's right. Let's do this, but you know what we got to do? We got to have the Jews be meaner to Jesus. Yeah, that's what we need to do.
If Biggest Dickus was in the Passion of the Christ, it would have been so much better. That's all I'm saying.
Oh my goodness.
Jesus, just pick a Jesus movie. It was better than the Passion of the Christ. It doesn't even matter which one.
Now, would you also say the Passion of the Christ is also a remake of Last Temptation of Christ?
A lot less interesting, but yeah.
A lot less interesting.
Yeah. I mean, Scorsese was, even though he had like $2 to make that movie, it was still better than Passion of the Christ. Or, you know, fucking, pick one. Ben-Hur had Jesus in it back in the day. I can't remember the one with Hunter in it. The Greatest Story Ever Told or something like that. They're all better. The book's even better.
Marty is saying that Abe never follows the rules.
That's right.
Never. Okay. And Kim is saying, wait for the sequel. Spoiler, Jesus Caviezel lives.
What the hell?
Now, they are, like, he's working, Mel is making a sequel to Passion of the Christ, right?
Yeah, I guess so.
I mean, they move a giant rock, and it's like, hey, Jesus, where you been? I got a story to tell you. Spent a couple of days with the devil.
Yes.
Because that part gets glossed over. Like, even they've even changed, like, the prayers of I mean, because originally it's like Jesus descended into hell.
Yeah.
And then before going to heaven, right? To sit at the right hand of the Father. Like, they've kind of like glossed that over, it seems, like in mainstream religious teaching.
Well,
right?
they've glossed over quite a bit in that story. One of the Gospels has the ground literally splitting apart, the dead rising and going into Jerusalem. Read your Bible, folks. It's really interesting. Jesus started the first zombie apocalypse.
Now, that would be a remake I'd like to see. My number 4, everyone already knows it already.
What is it?
Pink Panther 2006. Again, I saw like 20 minutes of it.
Less than Karate Kid.
Less. 5 minutes less than Karate Kid.
There you go.
I saw 20 minutes of this. It broke my heart. And, you know, I like Steve Martin. And I think maybe the intentions were there. but you can't touch Peter Sellers. There's no reason to even attempt to remake the Pink Panther. Some of the funniest films I've ever seen. I absolutely love them. I was a huge fan of the Pink Panther movies growing up. Throughout high school, throughout college, I watched them numerous times. I think they're hysterical. I think Peter Sellers was a hell of a comedic actor. I think, in general, he's a hell of an actor. Pink Panther, though, I mean, I don't even know what Steve Martin was going for in it. Like, honestly, it wasn't a Steve Martin character. It wasn't like a Peter Sellers. I think maybe he was trying too hard not to be Peter Sellers, and it just came off odd in the 20 minutes that I saw of it, as well as the trailer. So I guess all in 22 minutes and 11 seconds worth of the film that I've seen.
There you go. Okay, I'm going to say this. They could remake the Pink Panther. But it would have to be Sacha Baron Cohen as the Pink Panther, or as Clouseau. His performance in Talladega Nights, so good. That is Clouseau right there.
Yeah.
I think that would work. And everybody says, oh, I love Steve Martin. Steve Martin hasn't earned our trust in movies. If you start scrolling down his list, there's a lot more stinkers than there is gold. A lot more.
Yeah. I mean, he had a nice story arc on 30 Rock, right?
Okay, yeah, he did there. But I'm going to throw out.
Other than that, go ahead.
Sergeant Bilko and Mixed Nuts and Leap of Faith. House Sitter.
Sergeant Bilko wasn't terrible, but in the scheme of like having that on your resume, and you're Steve Martin, you don't want that on your resume. Any other actor in that film, like the dude from Doogie Howser, you take that on your resume. The Max Casella, you put that on your resume. Not a bad film to be in your. Well, you know who else was in Sergeant Bilko is Dan Aykroyd.
Dan Aykroyd, yeah.
Talk about someone with a career of just ups and downs, like mostly downs.
A lot of missteps in that career.
Mostly downs. Dan Aykroyd's part.
Oh my God! Oh yeah, My Blue Heaven, terrible. I mean, I know everybody says, "Oh, Steve Martin's a comedic genius," and that may be. He just doesn't show it in his cinema.
He hasn't shown it in a while.
What are you gonna throw me? Parenthood?
I like Parenthood.
Yeah,
I thought Parenthood was good. It was Ron Howard, right?
Yeah,
it was Ron Howard. I thought Parenthood was good, but that was more of an ensemble cast thing. Man with Two Brains. I like Man with Two Brains a lot.
Full disclosure, I've never actually seen Man with Two
You've never
Brains.
seen Man with Two Brains is funny. The Jerk. I think The Jerk is really good.
Yeah.
But I mean, we're going back so far.
Yeah.
That's the issue. Is I think Steve Martin. A lot of what we cling to is we were joking about this. Spoiler alert for whoever hasn't seen South Park this past week. Member berries. You know, it's just like, remember Steve Martin in the '80s? Like that's where we're kind of like, you know, LA Story. I liked LA Story too. Kim. Yeah, you're right. LA Story was good. Marty likes House Sitter. Of course he does. Of course he likes House Sitter.
Okay, I'll give him Spanish Prisoner. He was really good in that, but that was him just playing a guy.
So yeah, my number 4, Pink Panther. I don't. Same thing. It didn't need to be remade. I guess we could argue that do most movies that get remade need to be remade?
That's always the question, isn't it?
So it's the question. This is one I definitely feel just that didn't need to. I don't know, a continuation of Clouseau, even to me like a reboot. I think we'll have the discussion about remakes and reboots at some point later on in the show. Like even rebooting it, I don't know. You know what I saw. This is just a side topic. Is the Vacation, National Lampoon's Vacation? You know,
the newest one?
Yeah. Which I didn't absolutely hate. You know, it was what it was. It wasn't Amateur Night terrible, and you know, but that's almost like a remake / reboot, because it's pretty much the same storyline from Vacation, but it's with Rusty, the son. So it's a continuation of the storyline.
Oh, wow.
You know, so I think maybe they could have tried to do something Pink Panther like that, like having it be like Clouseau's son. I don't know. Still would have been terrible. That was my number 4. Your number 4.
Oh, let's see. What did I pick? Who knows?
I have no idea.
Star Trek Into Darkness. Don't tell me this isn't a remake. It's a goddamn remake. Khan. This movie really pisses me off. I got to calm down for a second. It's a remake of pretty much a really bad episode combined with Khan showing up for no goddamn reason. And then, I'm not even going to say spoiler alert, they kill Kurgoff instead of Spock. I hate this movie so much. It's the laziest writing. And the whole point of Star Trek, the reboot of Star Trek, was that they wouldn't be contained with continuity. They'd have the freedom to do anything they want. The Klingons could blow up Romulus or, whatever. It wouldn't matter. But the first thing they do once they've established it is just go back and just pull out Khan. For no reason. Just because Benedict Cumberbatch is the flavor of the month. And that's it.
And he still could have been a villain. Like, they could have still used him as a villain.
Right. Someone's going to have to tell me how Nero going back in time literally changes the race of Khan. I don't understand how that happens.
Yeah, not cool, man. Not cool. This film, I think, knocked Zachary Quinto down a peg for me, which is unfortunate because I've always been a huge Zachary Quinto fan. But him in Into Darkness was just laughable. Like, him doing the whole, God! Like,
what was that?
It was just terrible is what it was.
Yeah. I got no place for this movie.
I'm glad that they've gotten it back on track. See our review of Star Trek Beyond here on this channel. Synergy. Hashtag Synergy. I'm glad that they got back on track because Star Trek Into Darkness really put a nail in the coffin there.
It sure seemed to.
I thought it was going to be tough to kind of crawl our way out of that grave.
Just need triple blood, Dan. You just need triple blood. Just random references to Star Trek, just thrown in there for no goddamn reason.
I mean, wouldn't the third of this film is they've now retired on a giant planet where they're harvesting tribbles, right? Like, they've just decided, hey, their blood can keep a species alive. Let's just raise these fucking things
and incubate them with all the blood. Yeah, and they could just be little blood bags. You could breed a whole species.
Just carry one with you wherever you go.
With the Khan blood inside of it, and you'd be perfect.
I would get into so much trouble if I had one of those. Just get into random street fights. Hey, what the hell's wrong with you? Boom. Doesn't matter. Got my triple blood.
It's so bad. The plot is so convoluted. It just doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, it's awful. I don't even know what my number 3 is.
Oh, well, let's see.
I've seen this one. I saw this one in theaters. Sadly.
Really?
I saw this one in theaters. I actually saw my top 3 I saw in theaters.
Wow.
I paid money in theaters to see these. I can't say I had high expectations for Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. I had some expectations. Okay. I loved Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory when I was younger. Loved it. Watched it numerous times. Had the VHS. Wore it through. And not just for Gene Wilder. I just from start to finish, I thought it was just a fun film. I thought it was a great adaptation of a great story. So, you have Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. You got Johnny Depp. Up until then, overall, good actor, right? Tim Burton. I think Tim Burton had been on a decline over the last, I'd say, decade or so prior to this. But still, it was still interesting. It was what are they going to do together? You know what they did? They launched the career of Freddie Highmore, and that's it. That's all they did with this film. I mean, Freddie Highmore is a hell of an actor. I watch him on the Psycho Show on Bates Motel.
Oh, is that him?
He's a tremendous actor. He's so damn good. Like in this past season on Bates Motel, they actually gave Highmore and Vera Farmiga like actual dialogue to work with, and the show was stellar this past season. And he was good. He was good. He was good in Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, but that was it. Johnny Depp, I don't know what the fuck he was doing.
He was doing Michael Jackson, wasn't he?
Yeah, it was kind of like a Michael Jackson impersonation. It was so weird. And honestly, I cannot think of... I mean, I liked Big Fish. I'm probably in the minority there of people that actually liked Big Fish. But other than Big Fish, I can't think of anything... And it's not like I loved Big Fish, but I can't think of anything since Ed Wood that made me excited about Tim Burton.
I can't think of anything either. No. Ed Wood was the last one.
Yeah.
I'm scrolling through his list real quick. Nope. Mars Attacks, Sleepy Hollow, Planet of the Apes, Big Fish, Corpse Bride, Alice in Wonderland, Dark Shadows. The list goes on.
Mars Attacks not bad. I like Mars Attacks, but still, it's not. I think Mars Attacks has kind of gone through this like nostalgia thing where people think that it's greater than it actually is. It's good. It's good.
Oh, come on.
It's an adequate film. It's got some fun stuff in it, but it's not great. It's not great, people.
You really put it in its place, didn't you?
Yeah, you're not a fan of Mars Attacks, though.
No.
Yeah. You really. Jack Black was in Mars Attacks.
Was he?
Yeah, he had a very small role in Mars Attacks.
What was he?
He played the brother, like the military guy.
Oh, right. Yeah. Oh my God, that's funny. I guess you got to start somewhere.
So
King Kong's not the most embarrassing thing he's done.
I guess not. Kim is saying that Big Eyes was good. That was a recent one, right? Big Eyes.
Oh, yeah, I didn't see that.
I haven't seen it either. And Robert Melee joined us. Thank you for watching. He says Johnny Depp spells chocolate Cocaine in that movie.
I don't know what that spells.
Cocaine.
Oh.
You're number 3.
Oh, my number 3. Here we go. War of the Worlds. Boy, howdy, did I not like this movie.
Wow.
I did not like this movie at all. Dakota Fanning literally made me root for the bad guys. Please just kill them all. Tom Cruise, as I had forgotten about this scene until last month, and Stefan pointed it out to me. Tom Cruise and his throwing the peanut butter sandwich against the window. Laughably bad.
I didn't hate War of the Worlds, but it seemed after, and this is going to sound weird, after Signs, it seemed like unnecessary.
A little redundant, yeah.
It really seemed like let's take if you consider like Signs a quote unquote indie film, which it wasn't. I'm just saying, if you consider that like here's a creative approach to alien invasions, here's something artistic. I would almost say that War of the Worlds is like Spielberg's War of the Worlds is almost like a remake, Hollywood blockbuster remake of Signs in a way, because let's take these themes that worked so well in Signs and just like Michael Bay it up, and that's what they did in War of the Worlds. And I don't hate War of the Worlds. I really I felt indifferent to it because the fact is I thought Signs accomplished what they were trying to do so much better.
I agree with you on that. It's an interesting take. I hadn't thought of it. But this is Spielberg on autopilot, just cruising through. Oh, there's another scene where the hero has to be quiet while the bad guys are looking for him. Everybody has to be really quiet. He's never done that before, except for 4 other movies before that? 3 other movies? Jesus. Just not a good.
Hey, when you're hiding from the Nazis, I think Anne Frank has taught us have to be quiet.
Or velociraptors, or the little pods that are looking for you in Minority Report. Pick a movie. That was
a good scene. That was a good scene, though.
It is a good scene, but that's just like that is going to be your signature scene now. Everyone's just got to be really quiet. We get it. Yeah, sure. I mean, the Berg was on autopilot. Tom Cruise is Tom Cruise. He always does well. But man, I didn't want to be stuck with his family anymore.
Doesn't it irk you, though, that he is a good actor? Like,
no, it really doesn't irk me. I like Tom Cruise.
It irks me that Tom Cruise is a good actor because he's such a shitty person in real life.
Oh, I don't care about that. Let him be shitty. They're all shitty. That I'm going to mispronounce his name because I'm not a fan of his right now. Ernest Rister was on a show on an old site we used to do, and Spielberg apparently would be very upset if anybody he didn't know made eye contact with him on the set. Everybody was supposed to look down, not look at his eyes. These people are fucked in the head.
Who said that? About Spielberg?
Reister.
About Spielberg?
Yes.
That's weird.
Yeah, it is weird. He said it.
I don't know. I know someone that interviewed Spielberg.
Yeah.
And said that he was great.
Could be. I don't know.
Sorry, I got a text.
No, it's okay.
I got a text.
We can take a break if you want to.
No, it's fine. It's fine.
I can just keep going on about how much I did not like Dakota Fanning.
Can you please bring up a milk box when you come up?
Who's that?
My wife asked me to bring up a milk box for my daughter's lunch tomorrow. That was my text. I'm sorry. Yeah, no, I'm surprised by that. That seems really weird. I wonder how that dynamic on Lincoln worked then. I wonder how the dynamic on Lincoln worked with Spielberg and Daniel Day-Lewis.
He didn't know Lincoln, so he couldn't make eye contact with him.
You know, like, really weird.
Yeah. Was there a scene when, like, I haven't seen Lincoln yet. I'm just curious. Was there a scene when John Wilkes Booth had to be really quiet and sneaky so nobody noticed him before he shot Lincoln? Oh. Okay, just a second, because that would have been perfect. Spielberg.
I'll say this: Lincoln was a hell of a film. I was popped up on pain medications after getting my wisdom teeth out, but it was a hell of a film. To be fair, Robert Maillet is right. I have the same rule about not looking me in the eyes.
Ah.
What is it? My number two.
That's between you two.
My number two. Oh my god! I saw this in theaters. I paid money to see Vince Vaughn and Anne Heche remake Psycho. I gave my money for a almost kinda sorta shot for shot remake of Psycho.
Yeah.
Like, let's do a shot for shot remake of Psycho. Only here's Norman Bates jerking off.
That's the one thing Psycho missed. Yes, was Norman Bates. Jerking off. Who jerks off to Anne Heche? No one. Not even Ellen.
Anne Heche is a happily married woman. I think she's got a husband with kids now.
Hey, good for her. She was good. She was good. She was good in this. I Know What You Did Last Summer.
She really, played that whole lesbian thing to become popular.
Hey now.
It angers me. It angers me.
People play straight to boost their career.
She used Ellen's good name to become famous.
Yes.
That shouldn't happen in Hollywood, Abe.
No, it shouldn't.
Wrong.
Right. I mean, Ellen was, she was making Mr. Wrong at the time.
Marty's very mad at you for not seeing Lincoln.
What? Didn't see Lincoln. I got nothing to that.
You see him on a $5 bill.
Yeah.
Pennies. You got lots of pennies, right? See him all the time. Psycho, man. Terrible. I mean, if we're talking about redeeming factors in these films, the only redeeming factor I'd say is William H. Macy, because William H. Macy can do no wrong. Has William H. Macy ever done any wrong? No.
I can't think of anything off the top of my head, but that doesn't...
He was in this film, which was a wrong, but he made it right by actually having fun.
Okay, I haven't seen all his movies. As the great Donald Rumsfeld once said, the absence of evidence is not the evidence of absence. So,
but everything you have seen.
Yeah, no. Everything I've seen, he's been great in. Yeah.
Been great in.
Yes.
So, you saw Psycho, right?
Yeah. I love the Hitchcock version so much. It actually precludes me from even getting into that TV show. And
that's
this was
that's interesting.
This
Wow.
was this was a fucking horrible mess of a movie. Like, just couldn't stand it at all.
Yeah, man. I think I can't even remember when my number one comes up. I might have to reconsider swapping because I think you're right in the sense of what makes this hurt so much more is the near perfection of the original. So you're remaking near perfect. And as much as I loved the Pink Panther films, right?
Yeah.
You know, they are what they are. They're they're not perfect films. They're great. They're great comedies, and I love them. But it's not like Steve Martin remade Doctor Strangelove and portrayed the Peter Sellers character in that. You know,
Yeah.
like The Karate Kid isn't like this great cinematic masterpiece. It's fun. Member berries say that we should love it, but I think Psycho hurts more because, yeah.
It does. No, yeah, you're right. Psycho is a masterpiece, and this just aping a masterpiece. All right, I don't know if this counts or not. I'm putting it on here because it's so fucking bad. Halloween 2 is kind of a remake of Halloween 2.
Kind of.
It is. It starts off with Laurie in the hospital, Michael coming to get her, and then in the worst way imaginable, he makes it all a dream. Maybe I shouldn't have had high hopes for 31.
After seeing this.
Yes, after seeing this.
The man who made this is making another film.
No. But goddamn, just on the face, this is a bad movie. But when you are comparing it to Halloween 2, which I actually think is a pretty damn good sequel, the original.
I don't dislike any of those Halloween sequels up until, like, I guess H2O. Like, honestly, even the one with the masks.
Oh, yeah.
I like that one. Say what you will. It's not a Halloween movie, but I liked it.
I like it when a slasher film gets to the point where they have to become a soap opera to keep it going. And Halloween hit that, and they did. I love it. Yeah, I'm with you.
But this is just... First off, Kim says that Movies and Stuff does not actually endorse Donald Rumsfeld in any way, shape, or form. Any similarities are strictly coincidental. If we had little scrolling miniature text at the bottom of our screen, I think that would be right on. Robert Melee is agreeing with that statement. Yeah,
yes, yes. And somebody may have jerked off to Anne Heche. I hated to. I don't want to make anybody feel bad. If you've
allegedly,
yes,
someone may have.
Kim, I apologize to you on that count as well.
Man, Halloween 2, Rob Zombie is just... You should have known that 31 is going to be bad. Because doesn't it seem like every other film of his?
Well, are we even going to say Halloween was that good?
His original Halloween wasn't bad. It wasn't bad. It was not... wasn't bad.
Yeah, I mean, I had the same complaint everybody else did. We didn't need to see poor little Michael get bullied and make the connection. But yeah, this one was really bad with Sherry Moon Zombie as like ghost mom, and it was all a dream.
Was she, wait a minute. If she was ghost mom, was she married to Bill Cosby, or did Bill Cosby just kind of like knock her out?
He gave her a little something to drink to help relax.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is it was a shit movie.
It was a shit movie. I don't know, man. I feel that maybe we've trashed Rob Zombie enough. Maybe in the coming weeks we'll redeem him a little bit.
Lords of Salem, I legit like. I really like it, and it like caused temporary amnesia where I went into 31 with such high hopes.
Robert Melee says, I like turning in at the end of the episode because Dan's 70% is finished with his bottle of gin and the sauce is just magnifique.
There we go.
It's almost done. My number one.
Yeah, we need to step on the pedal, don't we, here?
Yeah, a little behind. I take it back. I mean, I think my number one is apropos. I think it's perfect. I saw this in theaters.
You fool.
I gave money. Tim Burton again. This was Tim Burton. Holy shit! Didn't even like occur to me. This was Tim Burton. I like Michael Clark Duncan in this movie because, again, I like Michael Clark Duncan as an actor. You know,
Yeah.
but that's it. Marky Mark. Marky Mark's no Chuck Heston. He's not racist enough to be a Chuck Heston.
And not until I hear him say "for my cold dead hands." Yeah.
I mean, he's from Boston and all, but he's not racist enough to be Chuck Heston. I don't know, man. You know, like original Planet of the Apes, maybe slightly overrated as a science fiction film. Maybe slightly overrated. I enjoy it. I do think it's really good. I think the drop off between Psycho and Psycho is probably more so than
Yeah.
Planet of the Apes, this Planet of the Apes. But this was just, I mean, I can't believe that they recovered this franchise. This franchise is actually good again. It's quite enjoyable. I'm surprised at how much I enjoy this franchise right now. Because I thought this was gonna fucking kill it. I thought this was gonna be the end.
By all accounts, it should have been the end. There's no way this franchise should have bounced back from that. What a bad movie.
Terrible.
I saw it on...
Did you see this in theaters? Or did
fuck
you,
no. I saw it on DVD.
You didn't have the faith? You didn't have the faith?
No.
So good on
But I mean,
you.
there were some good performances. Helena Bonham Carter was just fine. Paul Giamatti was good.
Paul Giamatti's good. Yeah. Well, I mean, same thing. It's tough to destroy Paul Giamatti unless your name is M. Night Shyamalan.
Oh, Tim Roth. He was good in it, too. Yeah, I forgot about Tim Roth in this. It wasn't. You can't blame the actors.
No. Can't blame the actors.
Rod Serling wrote the original Planet of the Apes, and whoever the hell wrote this one is no Rod Serling.
You know, and the innovation of the makeup and the prosthetics and stuff that they used in this film was great, but at times it stood out and became a distraction.
Really?
Yeah, you know. I kind of feel like it was in a way so well done that it became obvious that, you know,
you were focused on the technique.
Right. You know, like it was so well done that it like there was a certain charm between the original monkey masks and the human eyes. Like I think there was almost even like a subtle like political statement or some kind of statement in there, you know.
Oh, I think definitely, yeah.
Anyway,
that's
my number one.
All right, number one, Old Boy. This was just I don't know. This was just fucking horrible, just terrible on every level. I mean, just how do you take Old Boy, which is so interesting and so intense and so repulsive at the end, and make it this boring movie that's just a slog to get through? It takes credit or talent to really take that story and make it painful to get through.
Josh Brolin overrated?
Man, I don't know.
Appropriately rated?
Anytime I think he's overrated, No Country for Old Men pops up, and I'm thinking, well, yeah, it's not bad.
But I mean, in the scheme of No Country for Old Men, he's what? Third or fourth best performance in that film?
I can't even rank them all. I think it's the Coen brothers. They always get.
But I mean, just think of No Country for Old Men. Think of the best performances in that film. I put Woody Harrelson over him. I put Tommy Lee Jones over him.
Mm-hmm.
And I put Shiger over him. So that puts him at least fourth.
I don't even know if you can blame him for that. That's the character he had to play. Kind of a salt of the earth.
I don't know, man. I want to like Brolin more than I actually do. I feel that he might be a little bit overrated, though.
Oh, he probably is overrated. But Spike Lee has officially become overrated now, too. This movie was terrible. And it's just, Spike's just on a downward trajectory right now.
I can't remember, like, the last... I mean, I liked... was it 25th Hour?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I liked 25th Hour. I did. I don't know how much of that was Spike Lee that I liked about it, or again, just Ed Norton is Ed Norton, and he can carry a film, and there was a lot of good performances in that too. Uh, Bamboozled, love Bamboozled.
Yeah, but now you're going back now.
I'm
You're
going
working
back in time,
backwards.
though,
Yeah,
right?
right.
Working
Yeah.
backwards, yeah. I can't pinpoint a Spike Lee film. Oh, he did one. He did one recently.
Inside Man.
Inside Man's not bad,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Inside Man's pretty good, and he did one recently that I haven't seen.
Oh, for like Amazon.
Maybe.
Yeah.
That was supposed to be really good.
She-Rock.
Yes. The She-Rock. Yeah.
She-Rock. Okay.
She-Rock. Yeah. Chicago. Yeah, that's supposed to be really good. So
Yeah.
maybe he does still have it in him, but I personally haven't seen, like, the films that I have seen of the last 15 years or so. Really haven't done it for me.
Oh well, it happens to the best of them. Spike, you're rich and happy now.
Yeah, old boy, man. Yeah.
It was terrible. I mean, I remember when Spielberg and Will Smith were going to make this movie. Maybe they should have. Good Lord, maybe they should have.
I like Will Smith.
Yeah, okay.
I do.
There you go.
All right, so that's going to close out another episode of the Movies and Stuff show. Please stay tuned. Our friends of our show, friends of the network, friends of the channel, friends of Abe, friends of me,
Underlings
are going to show their picks. We ran a little bit long. I wanted to be done like 16 minutes ago.
You get you talking on Pink Panther, and Lord knows, or Anne Hesh, or whatever you were talking
Don't
about.
get me started on masturbating to Anne Heche.
There you go.
I finished my gin, by the way, and now I'm just dropping stuff all over the place. So it's a good time to end the
You're
show.
a fucking mess. Yeah.
Please like and subscribe. Please like this episode and subscribe to our channel.
You can do it. You can get through this.
I'm going to get through this.
Power through.
If you listen to us on iTunes or listen to us on SoundCloud, please also like and follow us there. But also people do listen to us on iTunes. I don't know why you laugh. Like, we get reviews on iTunes. People listen to us on iTunes. Don't knock the listeners.
Good for you. Good for you, iTunes listeners. I'm proud of you. Hopefully you're going to use your wireless earbuds to listen to us soon.
Or you just come to YouTube and watch our show and see me become more animated as the show goes on. We will be back on Thursday, this Thursday, with brand new Master Debaters, and it's a crossover episode.
Yes, we are inviting the entire cast of the Jack Random podcast here. You will have Jack Random, Jamil Payne, and Kyle, whatever his last name is.
Fulton?
I don't know.
I think it's Kyle Fulton.
Once Kyle gets on a few more times, I'll learn his name.
Okay. We will be back next Tuesday, 9 p.m. We're going to do a roundtable discussion on Magnificent Seven. We have not decided on who's going to join us, but I figure Marty's going to join us.
Marty's down for any piece of shit you throw his way.
So, Marty, go watch Magnificent Seven. We need you on the show next Tuesday. That's it. Thanks, everyone. Really appreciate it. Had a lot of fun. I should stop drinking gin for the night. Abe, catch you later.
All right, bye-bye. Don't forget your milk.
Hello, movie and stuff audience. Abe asked me to give you my top 5 list for worst movie remakes. Now, for this list, it's really hard because there's been a lot of shitty remakes just within the last 5 years, let alone within the last 10 to 15. So I literally just finalized this list 5 minutes ago, and I'm really still not happy with it, but this is what I have. Number 5, we have the perennial dead horse in Ghostbusters. Oh man, that's strong. Again, it's not the worst movie in the world, but I think because it is so mediocre that makes it worse. If for all the controversy and all the arguments, it could at least have been really good or really bad instead of just another, CG fest, mediocre comedy with really, really bad improv. Number 4, I have Total Recall. Now, again, this is another one that it seemed like these movies nowadays lack bite, and this is another one where, like, the original, while not necessarily a masterpiece, had a lot of bite, had a lot of like a grime and a filth to it. This remake is just clean and sanitized, not as much violence, not as much cursing. It's just missing that layer of grit. Number four, Planet of the Apes. Now, I I will say I like 2/3 of this movie. I know everybody tends to hate this movie and Mark Wahlberg acting, which is not the best, but I actually do like a lot of things about this movie. I do like the ape the ape makeup. I do like that world, but that last third is particularly that ending ruins that whole movie. And like it has a pretty good cast in Helma Bonham Carter, Tim Roth, Michael Clark Duncan, and Paul Giamatti. So it's a good cast. But man, that ending is really, really bad. I don't know what else to say. Number two is Old Boy by Spike Lee. It's a crime that this movie didn't work because this cast that it had was fantastic, and somehow again through that Hollywood filter, it somehow got sanitized. They tried to make it worse, and it really didn't work out. And it just seemed lifeless, stale, sterile. It's a real shame that they couldn't make that work. And number one is Psycho. Psycho by Gus Van Sant, I believe. And again, the funny thing about this is, again, it's a really good cast. And I could see this cast working as far as a remake goes of Psycho, but with the student film experiment of making it shot for shot, it really ruins it. It's a really weird like experiment in how to make something exactly the same but worse. But again, if they will remake Psycho with this cast but put their own spin on it, I believe it could have worked. And that's my list. I hope you agree, disagree. Thank you. Have a nice night.
Hello, here's Stefan. Here is my list of the top worst movie remakes ever. I'm starting with my choice number 5. That would be The Time Machine with Guy Pearce. Not only is this a typical awful late 90s blockbuster with CGI kitsch and everything, there's also a very nerdy detail which I hate about this movie. This is the time travel theory presented in this movie, that states that time can correct itself like some magical device. It is something I really don't like and doesn't make any sense. Number 4 on my list is RoboCop, the remake from 2014. And I think it's a very good example of a modern remake that tries to do something new and distance itself from the original, but actually cannot follow through on the new approach, but uses the original as a crutch and at any given point. So, and I don't think it's a very decent movie in itself either. There are no interesting visuals, there are no interesting effects or action, so it surprises me every time when people say this is a decent remake. Number 3 is Psycho, the remake by Gus Van Sant from 1998. Completely unneeded remake. Also a remake that doesn't follow through on the concept that the director claimed that it was going to be a shot-by-shot remake of the Hitchcock classic. It actually isn't really a shot-by-shot remake, so it's a very generic exercise, totally miscast too, not worth your time. Then number 2 would be King Kong by Peter Jackson. I mean, I could include actually the version from the 70s too. I don't like that one either. But the version by Peter Jackson even worse. It's Peter Jackson at his worst, with lots of kitsch sentimentality and phoniness and very bad overboarding CGI. Yeah, Not really. Not a very exhausting, not very enjoyable movie, I think. It's maybe a good example why fans shouldn't make movies. Then number one would be every Platinum Dunes horror remake ever. Platinum Dunes, a company that specializes on making horror remakes to famous horror movies, from Nightmare to Elm Street to Texas Chainsaw Massacre and Friday the 13th. Yeah, if you like your movies, your horror movies shot like an action movie with the glossy visuals of Gene's commercial, then this might be for you. I hate it. I hate those movies. They're almost like anti-movies. I think it says something when Friday the 13th, it's not really sacred ground. Friday the 13th, at least the half of those movies are unwatchable garbage. And still the worst of them has more soul than the remake from 2009. So I think that's quite telling. Okay, that was my top 5 of worst movie remakes ever.
The people at the Movies and Stuff show asked us to put together another top 5 list. This time considering the worst remakes. Last time I was using DVDs and Blu-rays as a demonstration, but I'm not gonna do it this time, because who the hell would confess into owning any of these movies? So instead I'm using my little demonstration tool, which, to avoid any copyright infringement, I'm just gonna call it MyPad 2. Well, anyway, here's the best, worst remakes top 5. The new The Thing, which I know it claims to be the prequel to John Carpenter's movie, but it's no use hiding that they are pretty much using every kind of scene setup from the Carpenter movie, but only with worse, way worse repercussions. Okay. Number 4. Day of the Dead, the sequel to the Dawn of the Dead remake, directed by Zack Snyder. And let's just say that this Day of the Dead makes even the last 2 George Romero directed zombie movies look good. Number 3, the Total Recall remake. I only saw the director's cut of this, and well, I maybe I should have seen the theatrical cut, because that would have been at least 17 minutes less boring. I mean, this movie has some great ambitious ideas, but it's just, like I said, it's boring, and it relies way too much in recreating scenes, lines, and situations from the original Total Recall. Number 2, RoboCop. Now, the original RoboCop is a classic sci-fi action movie. It's a great satire of its times. It's gloriously ultra-violent, and it's hilariously un-PC. This remake manages to be none of those things. Number 1, The Fog. And the less said about this piece of shit, the better. So that's my best, worst 5 remakes. Thank you.
All right, thanks, guys. Here we go. I'm talking remakes. Last time during my boxing video, people said I was too long, so we're going to go real quick here. Number 5, Psycho, because Vince Vaughn sucks. Number 4, Longest Yard, comes out of Sandler's Worst. Number 3, I might break the rules here, Bick, but I'm going Wild Wild West, was a remake of a TV show, and it's just awful. Will Smith and Kevin Kline, and they almost have the world getting taken over by a guy with a big spider. I don't know. It's just really bad. But good Drew Hill song in there, so that kind of saves it. That keeps it at 3, not lower. Number 2, Bad News Bears. Just shouldn't have been done. I mean, the first one is so perfect, and it's so in a time that couldn't be repeated. You know, they tried to have Billy Bob Thornton be the Walter Matthau character, and as edgy as he wants to think he is, he couldn't match that. They couldn't get away with the stuff they got away with in the 70s, so it just wasn't as funny. And the kids just weren't as funny, and it just... The first movie's great because the kids are complete assholes, and they couldn't be that way in the 90s or 2000s version. And number 1, I don't think comes to a shock to anybody that's watched this show the last couple months. It's Ghostbusters. Not because it's female, not because I thought the original Ghostbusters are sacrosanct and should be touched. It's just a shit movie. Melissa McCarthy is not funny. Kristen Wiig is the same Kristen Wiig weird character she's been now for the last couple movies. Kate McKinnon, I love in SNL. Glad she got the Emmy, but just adds nothing to this movie. And Leslie Jones, I mean, she's great. You see her on the Emmys. She was great on that. She's great on Twitter. She's just the same loud SNL character she always is in the movie. The movie just becomes a complete cartoon farce at the end. They threw in stupid scenes to make fun of internet trolls, which made me literally give the finger to the screen because I knew it was just a stupid thing they added in to make themselves happy. And it's just a horrible movie. And luckily, it didn't make enough money, so it won't be remade again. But that's my list. Horrible remakes. Ghostbusters. I will bring it up again somehow. I'm not sure how. But we will talk about it again. All right, guys. Thanks a lot.
So when I started thinking about what the difference is between a reboot and a remake and just a movie that stands alone, I realized that you could sort of grade these things on 2 axes at the same time. So you've got like the, is it a good, bad movie axis? And then you have, is it a good, bad remake axis? So you actually do have a couple of possibilities. Like you could have a movie that's good, but it's a bad remake. Or you could have like a bad movie that's a good remake in some, weird way. I think generally what we see most of the time are mediocre movies that are bad remakes. And I think that generally comes from the fact that when you're making a remake, it's usually because you're starting with something that's got a good premise and you think that you can do it better now. Maybe it's like an old science fiction movie and you think that if you throw in some special effects and make the pacing a little bit better, you'll end up with a movie that people will like even better than the original. Or maybe you're just banking on the name recognition of an existing property. So anyways, I was thinking about these 2 different axes, and I was thinking about how bad can it be? Like the worst possible movie that's also a bad remake and was made as a remake for a bad reason. And I just came up with one really interesting observation, which is that Tim Burton has made some of the best remakes and like all of the worst ones. And in particular, I'm going to throw out like Alice in Wonderland because no one should ever remake something just because they think it should look the way that they like, which I think is about where Tim Burton has ended up, which is just like, oh, everything should have Johnny Depp. What if let's Gentlemen Prefer Blondes, but with Johnny Depp. Jurassic Park, but only with Johnny Depp. So that's where I ended up after thinking about it for a few minutes, was that Tim Burton makes the worst remakes. He makes them for the worst reasons sometimes, and then they end up being not very satisfying movies. So that's really all I have to add. If anybody else has some thoughts on that whole, if you can have a decent movie that's a bad remake or a bad remake that's a decent movie. I think maybe The Day the Earth Stood Still is the best example I could think of, which was something that was like an okay movie, but a bad remake. But I would be interested to see what other people think. Oh, and also because I know this will happen at some point tonight. This is a Frederick Flying Dog, because it's local, California Reaper Peach IPA, which I can drink because it's so spicy, it doesn't even vaguely taste like beer. So this is for all of the mentions that will inevitably come up. Is that probably enough or probably more? All right, that's all I got.